Boston College wide receiver Zay Flowers has recently been getting first round NFL draft hype. And today we're going to take a look at if that hype is warranted, at his entire profile, and much, much more. Let's get into it. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of 2023 NFL Draft Prospect Profiles. We've been doing these for a couple months now, so make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know who you want to hear about. But today we're going to be talking about Boston College wide receiver Zay Flowers. I mentioned at the top of the show here that he has been getting some first round NFL draft hype, and when I initially saw that, I said, I think that's a little rich for me. And then I went back and revisited some of his film from 2022, and I can see it. I can see why he's getting that hype. So today we're going to take a look at his numbers, some of his scouting report, and then maybe give a little bit of a player comp. I have one in mind. So let's get into the numbers for Zay Flowers. The number one thing, 3,056 career receiving yards. That's a really, really good number. And it's one that he was expected to come out as a junior because of what he put on film in 2021. He decided to go back to school, and that looks like a really, really good decision at this point in time because he was able to kind of build on what he did. He had his first 1,000-yard season. He averaged over 13 yards per reception, and he scored 12 touchdowns. And we'll get into his touchdowns here in a little bit, but 78 receptions, by far his best career year. And a lot of that was without his best quarterback or without good quarterback play. Boston College had Phil Jerkovic, he's really not that good, but he was injured for a period of time this year too. So to do that while kind of cycling through quarterbacks, pretty impressive. 0.84171. That's his 24/7 sports composite. He was a 3-star coming out, and he really just kind of burst on the scene. He had 341 yards as a freshman and 3 touchdowns, and we could kind of see glimpses of what he could be. He posted 22 catches in that freshman season, but he really built on that his second year. So the 3-star thing, you're going to see a little bit of that. We'll have some 4 and 5 stars that are going pretty high in this draft class. But he was still a pretty good recruit. He was in the 100s at his position. 2.16 career yards per out run. That's a really good number for his career. Boston College runs a weird offense. They focus on the tight ends quite a bit. They've kind of developed a little bit more nuance and more. They've kind of come into the modern way of running an offense over the last couple of years. But 2.16, pretty good career yards per out run. Obviously you'd like to see that a little bit higher, but over his career, that's really good. Over the last 2 years, 2.22 this year and 2.27 last year. So, and 2.15 the year before. So, he kind of we saw some of that improvement. Obviously, it kind of dipped a little bit as a senior. That's just because he ran more routes this year. So, but a good clip either way. 29 career touchdowns. That's one that we should highlight really quickly. He got into the end zone quite a bit in both 2020 and in 2022. 9 touchdowns in 2020 and 12 touchdowns here in 2022. He was the offense. Especially this year, Pat Garwo kind of struggled a little bit, and Zay Flowers kind of helped. He also added, a lot of rushing yards that I won't even get into, but he did a really good job at kind of carrying this Boston College offense because it wasn't very good. 5090. So that is the official height that is projected at the combine. So 5'9", for those that don't know the scout writing. That's going to be a problem for some NFL teams, but we've seen smaller guys get drafted pretty highly. I do wonder if it caps what his upside actually is in terms of draft capital. Like I don't see Zay Flowers going in the top 15 or anything like that. I could see him sneak into the back of round 1. I think there's a real possibility of that. So let's get into his strengths and weaknesses because, like I said, I thought he was one player, and then I came back to his film and I said, okay, he's improved in certain areas. So number one strength, gaining yards after the catch. The reason this is titled lethal is because he is dangerous with the ball in his hands. And you could tell that Boston College knew that with how often they put the ball in his hands. He had 124 targets this year, and rightfully so. And on top of that, they used him on jet sweeps and they just wanted the ball in his hands. I think that's going to be true at the NFL level too, because it's very translatable. He's very nuanced with the ball in his hands and the fact that he can, he's not just a speed guy. He can also wiggle, he can break tackles. He's a really good player after the catch. Creating separation. This was an area that I dubbed a weakness last year. I thought that there were things that he could have done as a route runner that he wasn't really doing, and I didn't think that he had, um, I don't wanna say I guess just I don't think he had developed as a route runner as of 2021. And then 2022 came around and you're starting to see those little things, the shake at the top of his route or the shake on the stem. I think that he has gotten better in this area. And that's a big reason why his production went up. And that's a big reason why he's getting first round draft talk right now. And then physicality on run plays. I think that for a 5'9" or 5'10", he's listed at 5'10". He's projected at 5'9" by people I trust over at Rise and Draft. So, but for a guy that small, you don't expect the physicality on run plays. You don't expect the blocking. I actually bumped him up a point in my grading scale. I don't have wide receiver blocking as a metric that I grade on, but I do have like a little bit of a modifier, and I gave him a point because he really shows effort and he has really good technique when blocking. That's going to be important to some teams. There will be some teams that are run heavy that covet Zay Flowers because of the ability to do some of that jet sweep motion stuff that will say, well, can he block? Because on the plays that we're not getting the ball into his hands, he's going to have to block. That is a definite yes with Zay Flowers. He's physical in that area. Weaknesses. Lacks natural hands. I think that he's gotten better in this area. He drops the ball kind of. I wouldn't call it frequently, but I would call it more often than you'd like to see. I think he dropped about 10% of his targets this year, and I think that it's partially in the way that he attacks the ball. I think that he can kind of short arm things and he doesn't necessarily go high point the ball at the most natural point at the top of a when he's going up to get it, right? And that's the third point here. So I don't want to double up, but high pointing is kind of an area of weakness for him. He can win on some of those 50-50 balls, but a 5'9", 170-pound receiver, 172, I think is what he's listed at, he's not going to win too many 50-50 balls for you. So you have to get kind of creative in how you get him the ball. A lot of his stuff is going to be on, short underneath stuff or behind the line of scrimmage stuff. And that is fine for some teams, but that means that he's not a fit for every NFL team. He's not your traditional X wide receiver that can go win consistently. I think that if you're gonna play, I think his best fit is gonna be out of the slot because I do think that he can be pushed off routes. So that means that press man coverage is gonna give him a little bit of issue. He's small, but I do think that the physicality that you see in the blocking and the fact that he has developed his route running in a way that I, was surprised and shocked. I think that you can say, well, that might translate into a better release package and a better ability to win off a press. I think to start though, you're going to want to get him free releases and just get the ball in his hands quickly and make things happen. And so I think working out of the slot would be good. I think just being a flanker off the line of scrimmage a little bit would be smart. But again, that's more of a wide receiver two for most offenses. So I don't know what his ceiling is. I think maybe the back of the first, where a team may already have a solid wide receiver one and are looking for a guy that they can be a 1B. I think that could be the route that he goes. All right, let's get into a player comp that I'm not 100% sold on, but I'm gonna throw it out there. It's more of a play style comp. This kid plays like Debo Samuel. And I know it's really, really tough to say that a 5'9", 170-pound guy can withstand what Debo Samuel has at the NFL level. Debo Samuel is a much bigger guy. He is 40 pounds heavier at least, and he's 3 inches taller. So, but from a play style perspective, I think that he plays most like Debo out of anyone that we've seen over the last couple of years. Rondale Moore even got some Debo comps. I didn't really see that. I saw where the you could get that idea, but I didn't really see that. And I don't think Zay is actually as bad downfield as Rondale was as a prospect. I think Rondale's a good wide receiver for what it's worth. But I don't think that Zay and Rondale are similar. I do think that the way Zay Flowers plays and how he's able to break tackles and how he's able to evade oncoming tacklers in general, I think that that is very similar to Debo Samuel. Now, can he withstand everything that Debo can? Probably not. And so I don't want this to be a one-for-one comp. This idiot on YouTube is saying that the 5'9", 170-pound guy is going to be the next Debo Samuel. But I think usage-wise and playstyle-wise, that's kind of what you're looking at. And that's what you're hoping the ceiling is, right? So overall, I think Zay Flowers is a fantastic player. I think that he has grown on me immensely over the last couple of years. I think that, like I said, I came out of his 2021 film feeling like, that's like a late day two guy at best. I actually had a day three grade on him going into last year's draft. But I think the improvements that he made and just the way he was able to develop as a route runner, that's important. His ability he now stacks defenders pretty well. And that's not something that you saw a whole lot. It was more just straight line running. This is the route that I'm running. This is how I'm going to get to my spot. And there wasn't much nuance. And now that he has that nuance, I think of Jahan Dotson even and some of the stuff that we've seen from Jahan Dotson as a rookie. I think that we could see something similar from Zay Flowers next year. Now, draft capital does matter. I think his floor is probably just outside the top 50. I think he's probably going to be at least around 2 pick. But with this wide receiver class and his ability to just make plays, I think some team could take a shot on him at the back of the first. I think that there is a reality in which Zay Flowers is a first round pick. And about a year ago, I wasn't saying that. Now he does have an opportunity to get on the field again. He's supposed to go to the East West Shrine Bowl. I don't know if that is 100% happening. Sometimes these guys commit to going, they go there, and then they kind of just use that as interview time. I hope that we get to see him on the field. I hope we get to see him in the game because I think that that could be a huge boost to his draft stock. We see this every year with the All-Star games. So I'm hoping we get that opportunity. That's it. Let me know what you guys think about Zay Flowers. We'll be back with another episode of this. I promise this weekend. I'm going to do an extra one this week. So let me know who you want me to talk about. Until then, make sure you subscribe, like this video if you liked what you heard, and also drop a comment if you so desire. Thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you guys next time.